Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for my client Nikola's vlog, and we started the week off with a medium grip on the bench press, and he got 180 kilograms, which is 396 pounds. Now he was kind of complaining, he's like, I wanted to get more than that, and I'm like, it's okay, it happens. Plus he just kind of started a new job, so his training actually is going to be a little rougher this coming vlog after this. He's got to get used to that. But, I reminded him it's not far under his meat best, right? It's not far under it, and it's medium grip, not his competition grip, so not a big deal. But, the thing is, when you're dealing with lifters like this, in my experience as a coach, they're never going to be happy. They always want more. They always want more. You got to keep them patient, right? You got to keep them reeled in just a little bit, because they're going to go 100% all the time. They're never going to be happy. They can hit anything that's less than their lifetime best lift, and they're not going to like it. Without stepping back and going, that's still a pretty elite lift. Medium grip bench, you're right at 400 pounds, just a hair under there. Gym lift with a pause, come on. But that is what happens when you deal with these lifters. And it's a good thing because it means they will always be consistent. They'll always push themselves. But, you've also got to keep them from hurting themselves. All right? Because they'll always want that more. And you remind them, I don't want to see, junk lifts in the gym. I want to see clean lifts. Right? These training maxes need to look good. They need to look good. No cheating, no bouncing. And that's the hardest thing to get. What's interesting, though, once you get them to understand that, the lifters like this who are really driven, they do that for you. In other words, it's oftentimes your non-competitors are the ones who will ego lift the most. Right? They're the ones who will ego lift on you the most when they're going heavy. Which is fascinating, because you would think because of the drive, the serious competitor would do that, but they don't, because their drive is to win. Their drive isn't to lift the best weight. Their drive is to be the best in competition. So that's what they compare everything against. They will then compare their lifts that they're unhappy with whatever they did in competition. It's just something interesting to observe. So what's the rest of his training look like? His upper body days are very, very tricep dominant. Right? They're very tricep dominant because that's where he's weakest on his benching. Right? We've got to bring his arms up in his case. Some of my other lifters need more pec, more delt, more lat. And obviously he needs those things too. But the priority is triceps. And it's because, when I watch his benching, that's where he's limited. It's always where he's limited. His close grip is his weakest. He gets stronger out wider, and he tends to be slower at lockouts. Okay, he's good speed off the chest. So where do we put our focus? Triceps. He likes overhead press, so I let him do a lot of heavy overhead pressing. He's real strong at it, so we work that stuff in also. We work that in as well. We also, this week for max effort lower, what did we do? We did a pause deadlift. He got 300 kilograms. So it's just over 660 pounds for a pause deadlift. Again, these are his strong points. All right. His deadlift is fantastic. He's actually at a point though where his squat's getting pretty dang good too. I don't know that he even has a weak point in terms of his 3 lifts right now, given what he is capable of on them. But deadlifting and everything, really, we're just working on just general strength. His hamstrings are his weakest link on the deadlift. Probably not his weakest link in the squat, but they still are a important contributor. So again, we're putting a lot of focus on his hamstrings. Glute ham raises, hamstring curls. He can't always do the glute ham raises. This is one of the things we've noticed. All right, he struggles with them, but it's because the hamstrings are limiting his deadlift. And I want to be clear, again, when we say things like a weak link in a lifter like this, what are we talking about? We're not talking about that his hamstrings are weak, we mean they're weak relative to the other muscles. I mean, his glutes and quads and everything are a bit stronger than his hamstrings. So that's where we put our focus. Because it's obviously anyone who deadlifts 600 plus pounds can't have truly weak hamstrings. It's not really possible. So again, we mean relatively speaking. We're talking about relatively speaking. So that's where we put most of his lower body focus. It's really our focus. Doesn't mean we don't work everything else. And we want to be clear here. But even then, you take a lifter like this, we're doing max work, speed work every week. Everything is being worked by all that, right? We do some supplemental work that hits everything else. Obviously, his pecs are being worked with floor press, not just speed benching. Okay? Lower body, everything is being worked with the good mornings. It's being worked with the leg presses. So, again, these muscles are all being worked for him, the entire lower body. We just put a slight bias towards the hamstrings, because that's where he needs more development. And that's quite common. And I mean, I go so far as to say with most lifters, unless there's some major glaring weakness like the back or the grip or something of that nature, hamstrings, if you get their hamstrings stronger, their deadlift will tend to go up. Even if it's not the weakest link, it's such a direct contributor to the weight that we can move. Again, unless we're running into other problems, right? Such as the inability to hold onto the grip, lats and traps and things which help maintain the bar path that we want, right? All those things. So they're never a bad thing to train. When in doubt, do hamstrings. But in his case, we know that it is the hamstrings. So I just want to clarify that difference here. But for a lot of you out there, odds are if you work on your hamstrings, your deadlift will probably go up. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.